Welcome back, ZE Coins. Today, we're diving deep into the story of a coin that you may have in your pocket right now or buried in an old coin jar. But here's the catch, this isn't just any coin. This is the 1776 to 1976 bicentennial Washington quarter. And believe it or not, one of these coins recently sold for an astonishing $88,750, yes, you heard that right. A quarter, worth less than $1. Sold for almost 90 grand. So what makes this coin so special? How can you tell if you have one of these hidden treasures? And what's the full story behind this legendary coin? Let's find out. Let's start with a bit of history. The year 1976 marked the 200th anniversary of American independence. To commemorate the bicentennial, the United States Mint issued special edition coins for the quarter, half dollar, and dollar. These coins were different from their regular counterparts in one striking way. They featured unique reverse designs to honor America's founding. The Washington quarter, originally introduced in 1932, got a patriotic makeover. Instead of the usual eagle on the back, the 1776 to 1976 bicentennial quarter features a colonial drummer facing left with a victory torch surrounded by 13 stars in the background. It was designed by Jack L. Ahr and selected through a national competition. This design symbolized the spirit of the American Revolution and the birth of a nation. The front of the coin still shows the profile of George Washington, but with dual dates, 1776 and 1976, a reminder of America's long road to freedom. Now let's talk numbers. The U.S. Mint produced a massive number of these bicentennial quarters, over 1.6 billion of them. That's billion with a B. They were struck at 3 locations, Philadelphia with no mint mark, Denver with a D mint mark, and San Francisco with an S.O. If billions were made, why are some of these coins worth a fortune today? Here's where things get interesting. Most of these coins are worth face value, 25 cents. But a small percentage were struck in special conditions, and even fewer have unique minting errors, die varieties, or are made of silver. And it's these rare characteristics that can send the value soaring. For instance, some bicentennial quarters were struck in 40% silver, not copper-nickel. These were primarily made for collectors and were sold in special proof sets. If you have a coin with an S mint mark and it feels slightly heavier or has a more silver-like shine, it could be one of the 40% silver versions, but the real jackpot comes with error coins, misstrikes, double dies, off-center strikes, and coins struck on the wrong planchet. Combine that with a pristine condition, such as coins graded MS-67 or higher by professional grading services like PCGS or NGC, and you have a coin that can fetch thousands, or tens of thousands, of dollars. Let's talk about the big one that in recent auctions, a 1776 to 1976 bicentennial quarter graded MS-68 by PCGS sold for $88,750. What made it so valuable? It had absolutely flawless surfaces, razor-sharp details, perfect luster, and was a rare high-grade example in its category. Simply put, it was one of the best-known surviving examples of its kind. Now you may be asking, could I have one of those coins sitting in a drawer right now? Here's what to look for. First, check the condition. If it looks brand new with no wear and sharp details, that's a great sign. Second, look for the mint mark. Coins from San Francisco, especially silver proofs, have higher potential value. Third, check for any unusual features, double images, off-center designs, missing details, or unusual coloring. These can be signs of valuable mint errors. And finally, weigh the coin if you suspect it might be silver. Silver quarters weigh slightly more, around 5.75 grams compared to the usual 5.67 grams of copper-nickel coins. That if you find something promising, consider getting it professionally graded. That's the best way to confirm its value. So, what's the current market like? Well, demand for rare coins has never been stronger. Collectors are actively hunting for high-grade bicentennial quarters and rare error coins. Even common silver versions can sell for $10 to $20. High-grade examples can go for hundreds. And those few elite specimens, like the one that sold for $88,750, are setting records at auction houses like Heritage Auctions and Stack's Bowers. To sum it all up, the 1776 to 1976 Washington quarter isn't just a nostalgic piece of Americana. It's a potential treasure, especially if you know what to look for. And with so many people unaware of what they have, now is the perfect time to check your pocket change, dig through your old coin jars, and maybe, just maybe, find a coin that could change your life. We're diving deep into one of the most talked about quarters in American coin collecting, the 1972 D Washington quarter dollar. You might think this coin is just another piece of change, but some of these coins are worth thousands of dollars. In fact, one has reportedly sold for an incredible $80,750. Yes, you heard that right. So grab your coin collection and stick around because you'll want to check if you have one of these valuable coins. Let's start with a little background. The Washington quarter was first introduced in 1932 to honor the 200th birthday of George Washington. It quickly became a permanent part of American currency. Fast forward to 1972, and the Denver Mint produced over 311 million Washington quarters with the D Mint mark. That might sound like a lot, and it is. But here's the twist, not all 1972 D quarters are created equal. While most are worth only face value, some rare versions with minting errors, high grades, or unique qualities have become incredibly valuable to collectors. And it's those rare coins we're going to talk about today. So what makes a regular 25-cent coin suddenly worth thousands or even tens of thousands of dollars? It all comes down to condition, rarity, and errors. First, let's talk about condition. A coin's grade can make a huge difference in its value. Coins are graded on a scale from 1 to 70. The higher the number, the better the condition. A 1972 D Washington quarter in pristine condition, we're talking mint state 67 or higher, is extremely rare. These high-grade coins are highly sought after by collectors and investors. Next is rarity due to minting errors. Some of the most valuable 1972 D quarters have unique mint errors like double dies, off-center strikes, or clipped planchets. These errors are often one-of-a-kind or extremely limited, and that rarity drives up the price. And then, of course, there are the unexpected gems. Coins that were struck with unusually sharp detail, or on the wrong type of metal, or with an unintentional design change. These anomalies can turn a common quarter into a small fortune. Now, let's talk about the elephant in the room. There's been a lot of buzz about a 1972 D Washington quarter that reportedly sold for an eye-popping $80,750. So what's the story? According to several sources in the numismatic community, this particular quarter had a combination of features that made it incredibly valuable. It was said to be in nearly perfect condition, possibly graded MS-68 or higher. It also displayed a rare mint error, possibly a double die or striking anomaly. Because of this, it sold at a major coin auction for a staggering amount. While sales like this are rare, they do happen, and they show just how much collectors are willing to pay for the best of the best. Now I bet you're wondering, could I have one of these quarters in my collection? Here's what to look for. First, flip the coin and check for the D Mint mark, just to the right of Washington's ponytail. Then, examine the coin closely. Look for any doubling on the lettering, especially in the word Liberty or In God We Trust. These might indicate a double die. Check for any misalignment in the strike. Look at the rim and see if part of the design is missing or off-center. Also, inspect the edges and fields of the coin. Is it in excellent condition with no scratches or wear? That could be a sign you're holding a high-grade coin. To be sure, consider having the coin professionally graded by a service like PCGS or NGC. This can help verify its condition and authenticity, and give you a better idea of its value. Most 1972 D quarters in circulated condition are worth about 25 cents to a couple of dollars, depending on their state. However, uncirculated versions can fetch $5 to $50, and graded high-end examples can reach into the hundreds or even thousands of dollars. A mint state 65 1972 D quarter might sell for $20 to $50, while a mint state 67 version can be worth $300 to $1,000 or more, depending on demand. And of course, error coins or ultra-high grades can shoot the value up into the tens of thousands, and in rare cases, as we've seen, as high as $87.50. The 1972 D Washington quarter might seem like an ordinary coin, but hidden gems exist. If you take the time to inspect your change, coin rolls, or old collections, you might just uncover a treasure. So before you spend that quarter on a candy bar or a parking meter, take a closer look. You never know, it could be worth a small fortune. We're diving deep into the fascinating world of the 1973 Washington $quarter coin, a seemingly ordinary piece of change that could be worth tens of thousands of dollars. Yes, you heard that right, up to $72,750. So stick around because you might just be holding on to a small fortune without even knowing it. Let's start with a bit of history. The Washington quarter was first introduced in 1932 to commemorate the 200th anniversary of George Washington's birth. The design was originally intended to be temporary, but it became so popular that it stayed. Fast forward to 1973, the Mint continued producing these quarters with the same familiar profile of George Washington on the obverse side, designed by John Flanagan. In 1973, the United States Mint struck millions of Washington quarters at both the Philadelphia and Denver facilities. There were also proof coins made in San Francisco. In total, over 380 million quarters were minted that year. Because of such high mintage, most 1973 quarters are only worth face value in circulated condition. But, and here's the exciting part, there are rare variations, minting errors, and high-grade examples that can make these coins extremely valuable to collectors. Now let's talk about the big money. What makes a 1973 Washington quarter worth $72,750? That kind of value comes down to a perfect storm of rarity, condition, and collector demand. One particular 1973 quarter graded at the top of the scale by the Professional Coin Grading Service, that's MS-68, fetched an astonishing $72,750 at auction. This coin was in immaculate condition, with full details, incredible luster, and no noticeable marks under magnification. For collectors aiming to complete a registry set, these high-grade coins are like the crown jewel, but there's more than just pristine condition. Some 1973 quarters with mint errors can also fetch thousands. We're talking about double dies, off-center strikes, broad strikes, and even transitional errors where a coin might have been accidentally struck on the wrong metal planchet. These are much rarer but definitely out there in circulation. A double die obverse, for example, where the lettering or date appears slightly doubled, can command serious value depending on clarity and severity. There are also quarters that have been struck on nickel planchets or even pennies, creating weird and wild mismatched coins that grab the attention of hardcore collectors. If you come across a 1973 quarter that feels too light, looks oddly colored, or has unusual features, it might be a rare error worth authenticating. First, check the condition. If it's heavily worn, it likely won't fetch much. But if it looks crisp with sharp details and minimal wear, it's worth a closer look. Consider sending it in for grading by a trusted third-party service like PCGS or NGC. A certified grade can massively increase its market value, especially if the coin is near mint state or better. Next, inspect it for errors. Use a magnifying glass or jeweler's loupe to check the date, the motto, the lettering, and both sides of the coin for anything unusual. If you spot doubling, off-center designs, or strange planchet marks, you might have an error coin. Take clear pictures and share them with online numismatic communities or a local coin expert. Now let's talk about the current market. As of now, high-grade 1973 quarters are in strong demand. While most will only bring in a few dollars, exceptional examples are fetching hundreds, and some even thousands. That record-breaking $72,750 sale was not a fluke, it's a sign of how intense competition can be for top-tier coins. Collectors are especially hungry for coins with full details, eye-catching luster, and minimal blemishes. That's why coins graded MS-66 or higher continue to rise in value. Even proof coins from San Francisco, especially with cameo or deep cameo contrast, can bring impressive returns if they're in pristine condition. Don't underestimate the power of pocket change. That 1973 Washington quarter in your drawer might just be a sleeper hit. Whether it's a high-grade example, a rare mint error, or a unique transitional strike, the right coin can be worth big money, potentially as much as $72,750. Always check your change. Always inspect your old coins. And when in doubt, get a second opinion from a professional. Coin collecting isn't just a hobby, it can be a real treasure hunt. We're diving deep into one of the most talked about coins in the modern American coinage scene. That's right, we're talking about the 1980p Washington quarter. Now hold on, because this isn't just any quarter. While it may look like the everyday coin you've seen 1,000 times before, some rare examples have shocked the numismatic world by selling for thousands. One even fetched an eye-watering $64,750. So make sure to watch this video all the way through, because we'll break down why this coin is so special, how to identify one in your pocket, and what makes a Washington quarter from 1980 with a little P mark turn into a life-changing discovery. Let's begin with the basics. The Washington quarter has been minted since 1932 and was originally created to commemorate the 200th birthday of George Washington. But it was so popular that it stuck around and became a permanent coin. Fast forward to 1980 and things got interesting. The 1980p quarter was minted at the Philadelphia Mint. That P mint mark was actually used for the first time ever on quarters starting that same year. So just that fact alone makes the 1980p an important date in quarter history. The Philadelphia Mint produced over 635 million quarters that year, so you might think that makes them common, and you'd be right, most of them are. But we're not talking about average quarters today. We're talking about the rare gems. The outliers. The errors and pristine examples that are worth big money. The value comes down to a few powerful factors. First, we have minting errors. These are coins that were struck incorrectly at the mint, and collectors go crazy for them. Some 1980p quarters were struck off-center. Others show doubling on the lettering or numbers, which is known as a double die error. And some were even struck on the wrong planchet, meaning they were accidentally made using the metal blank from a different coin like a dime or a foreign coin. Now imagine holding a 1980 quarter struck on a dime planchet. That coin would look totally wrong, smaller, thinner, and with parts of the design missing. But that mistake makes it worth a fortune. Next, we look at grade. Coin grading is the official process of rating a coin's condition, and it ranges from poor, which is basically a beat-up old coin, to mint state 70, which is a flawless, untouched example. Most quarters in circulation are in low grades, but a small handful of 1980p quarters have been found in mint state 67, 68, and even 69. Those coins are incredibly rare because they have almost no marks, scratches, or imperfections. They shine like the day they were minted. Now here's the kicker. In 2019, a collector purchased a 1980p quarter in pristine condition graded by a top agency and paid $64,750 for it. Let that sink in. A coin worth 25 cents sold for more than the average American's annual salary. Why? Because collectors are always hunting for high-grade examples from key years, and the 1980p is one of those modern sleepers. Most people overlook it. It's hiding in plain sight. It's the coin you might have in your change jar or tossed in your glove box. But if it has the right combination of rarity, condition, and error, it could be your golden ticket. Here's what to look for. First, check the mint mark. It must have a clear bold P on the right side of Washington's neck. That confirms it was struck in Philadelphia. Next, examine the coin's surface. If it looks unusually perfect, no scratches, no signs of wear, and it shines like it just left the mint, that's a good sign. Then look closely at the details. Use a magnifying glass and check for doubling on the words "In God We Trust" or the date. Doubling can increase the value by thousands. Also, weigh your coin. A normal 1980 quarter should weigh about 5.67 grams. If yours is way off that number, it might have been struck on the wrong metal blank, which is a huge red flag for value. And if you find one that looks promising, don't clean it. Ever. Cleaning a coin can destroy its value. Instead, take it to a professional coin grader or a reputable dealer and have it evaluated. Now let's talk about the current market. As of this year, collectors and investors are still paying top dollar for exceptional 1980p quarters. Coins graded in mint state 65 can fetch between $30 and $60. Coins in MS-67 can go for hundreds. And rare errors and ultra-high-grade coins are still selling in the thousands. The market has remained strong for Washington quarters, especially as silver prices climb and interest in coin collecting grows across the globe. So before you spend that change or roll up that jar of quarters, take a second look. That 1980p quarter might not be just another coin. It could be the one worth $64,750. We're diving into one of the most fascinating stories in American coin history. The 1982 D Washington quarter. At first glance, it might look like any other pocket change, but what if I told you that this very coin, in some rare conditions, has been sold for a jaw-dropping $58,750? That's right, nearly 60 grand for just 25 cents. Let's uncover the reasons why. First, let's take a step back to understand the era. The year was 1982. Ronald Reagan was president. Compact discs were just being released. And the U.S. Mint was facing budget cuts and production challenges. That year, the Mint made a significant decision. For the first time in decades, it would not produce mint sets. That might sound like a minor issue, but it had massive consequences. Without mint sets, there were fewer high-quality examples of coins struck in 1982. That means collectors had to rely on coins from circulation, which were subject to scratches, wear, and dings. That scarcity of pristine coins led to a surge in value for well-preserved specimens. Now let's talk about the 1982 D quarter specifically. The D mint mark indicates it was minted in Denver. Over 500 million of these quarters were produced that year. So how can one be worth almost $60,000? The secret lies in the details. Let's break it down. First, the 1982 D Washington quarter is part of a notorious coin family known for its weak strikes and low-quality planchets. Many coins from this year show inconsistent details. That makes any high-grade coin with sharp detail exceptionally rare. But there's more. That year, the U.S. Mint also made a transition in how dates and lettering were punched. This resulted in two types of 1982 quarters, one with a strong, clearly defined date, and another with what's called a weak or light date. The strong date varieties are significantly more desirable and valuable, especially when combined with a high-grade condition. Now here's where the value skyrockets. A 1982 D quarter with a strong date in pristine mint state condition, graded MS-68 or higher, is so rare that collectors will pay thousands, even tens of thousands of dollars to own it. That's where our headline number comes in. A verified MS-68 example of the 1982 D quarter sold at auction for an incredible $58,750. It stunned the numismatic world, but why would someone pay that much for a coin that's technically still in circulation? The answer is simple. Rarity. Condition. Demand. It's the perfect storm. That single coin was one of the highest graded examples known to exist. In fact, only a tiny handful of 1982 D quarters have ever graded that high. The combination of a strong date, perfect strike, and flawless surfaces made it a one-of-a-kind collector's dream. First, check the date. Is it bold and strong, or light and faded? Strong date examples are more valuable. Next, examine the coin's surface. Is it clean and free of scratches? Does it have original mint luster? If so, you might be holding something special. If you think your coin is in exceptional condition, consider getting it professionally graded. Even coins in lower mint state grades like MS-65 or MS-66 can be worth hundreds or even thousands of dollars. Now let's talk about current market value. While most circulated 1982 D quarters are worth only face value, those in mint state condition can fetch serious cash. As of now, coins graded MS-65 typically sell for around $20 to $40. MS-66 can reach up to $100. MS-67 can push into the several hundreds. And as we've mentioned, MS-68 is where the real jackpot lies, with past sales reaching $58,000. Keep in mind that coin markets fluctuate. Values can change depending on collector interest, auction results, and how many coins are available. But one thing remains true, the 1982 D quarter has carved out a place in numismatic history as one of the most valuable modern-era quarters. So, the next time you're digging through change, searching through old coin rolls, or flipping through a jar of quarters, keep your eyes peeled. That one coin you thought was ordinary might be worth life-changing money. Look for the 1982 D mint mark, check for a strong, clear date, examine the coin's surface for mint state condition, consider professional grading if your coin looks flawless, and always stay informed on current auction prices and market trends. We dive deep into the world of rare coins and hidden treasures that might just be sitting in your pocket change right now. Today we're talking about something truly incredible, the 1993 D Washington $quarter coin, and how some of these coins are now valued at a jaw-dropping $50,750. Yes, you heard that right, over 50 grand for a quarter. Now before you rush to check your coin jars, let's break down exactly what makes this coin so special, how to identify the rare and valuable versions, and what the current market says about these beauties. Let's start with a little history. The Washington quarter was first minted in 1932 to commemorate the 200th birthday of George Washington. It became a permanent coin in the U.S. mint circulation, and it's been in our pockets, purses and piggy banks ever since. Now jump ahead to 1993. The Denver Mint struck over 617 million Washington quarters that year, which might make you think that these coins are anything but rare, but here's the twist: while most of those coins are only worth face value today, a small number of them have errors or conditions that make them extremely desirable to collectors. Let's dig into what makes the 1993 D quarter so valuable. First, the mint mark. The D stands for the Denver Mint, and you'll find it just to the right of Washington's ponytail on the obverse or head side of the coin. Now, while the average 1993 D quarter is common, some specific coins have features that shoot their value sky high. We're talking about extremely high-grade coins, mint errors, and special varieties that collectors go crazy for. One of the biggest factors in a coin's value is its condition. In the coin world, we use a grading scale called the Sheldon scale, which ranges from 1 to 70. A coin graded MS70, meaning mint state 70, is considered perfect with no flaws under 5x magnification. There are 1993 D quarters that have received grades of MS67 or higher, which are incredibly rare given the huge number of coins struck in 1993. Most were used and abused in everyday transactions, so finding one in pristine condition is like finding a needle in a haystack. An MS67 coin from 1993 with the D mint mark has fetched thousands of dollars at auction. In fact, one such coin sold for over $12,000 a few years ago, and prices have only climbed since then. But that's not all. There's also the mystery of the error coins. These are the real jackpot coins. Some 1993 D quarters have been found with dramatic mint errors like off-center strikes, double dies, and even missing clad layers. That last one is especially rare and valuable. Imagine a coin where the outer nickel layer is missing, revealing the copper core underneath. That kind of error can make a simple quarter worth thousands. One 1993 D quarter with a double die obverse, meaning the image on the head side appears doubled, sold for over $4,000. Another with an off-center strike sold for nearly $5,000. And then there's the king of them all, a near-perfect error coin graded at a top tier that brought in an unbelievable $50,750 at auction. So how do you know if your quarter is valuable? Here are a few tips. First, check the date. Make sure it's a 1993 quarter with the D mint mark. Second, examine the coin under good lighting. Look for any doubling in the lettering or Washington's profile. Check for any signs of an off-center strike or any unusual texture that might hint at a missing clad layer. Third, check the condition. If your coin has no scratches, no wear, and still has a shiny, almost mirror-like surface, it might be worth getting graded professionally. Fourth, consider sending your coin to a grading service like PCGS or NGC. These companies can authenticate and grade your coin, which can drastically increase its value in the collector's market. Now let's talk about the current marketas of today. Collectors are paying top dollar for high-grade or rare error coins from 1993 D, and the demand is growing with inflation on the rise and investors turning to tangible assets. Rare coins are becoming a hot commodity. A typical circulated 1993 D quarter might be worth only 25 cents, but an uncirculated one could bring in $20 to $50. A certified MS67 example could easily command a few $1,000s, and that record breaker that sold for $50,750 is a reminder that pocket change can hide big money. So what can you do now? Go through Your coin collections, check those old jars, your kids' piggy banks, and even the change in your car. You never know what's sitting there waiting to be discovered, and if you find something promising, don't clean it. Never clean a coin because that can instantly reduce its value. Instead, handle it gently and consult a professional to sum it all up. The 1993 D Washington quarter might look like any ordinary coin, but the right one in the right condition or with the right error can be worth tens of thousands of dollars. Thanks for watching, and if you found this video helpful, make sure to like, subscribe, and hit that bell icon so you don't miss any of our upcoming videos on rare coins, valuable collectibles, and smart investing tips. Drop a comment below if you've ever found a rare coin, or if you have a 1993 D quarter you're curious about. Until next time, keep checking your change and happy treasure hunting.